Yeah, here we are. Here I am. Um, I'm Shesh Shesh Dado Noehe. That stands for She Who Whispers Loudly with a Sharpened Tongue. I'm um, I'm the off-grid oracle out here on the Spiritual Ranch in Northern California. So if you've watched my channel, you're familiar with the things that go on around here. I like to read the tarot, the divination, and everything like that. But I've been talking a lot about building fence. Talking a lot about the how the nature can attack you with the monitored spirits and everything. You gotta watch out for the practitioners because even if there ain't people around you to fuck you off, they'll come fuck your shit off with the wild animals. They can do whatever they want with them spirits out there. And so I've been motivated. This year, like I put in a big garden space and trying to do a farm stand up at the end of the road, and the deer came in and just wiped me out. And so I've been motivated now to build a fence, and so that's what we're doing here. My approach around here out on the ranch, we're doing everything on a very low budget. It's all about learning how to move forward in our world without having to satiate the gods of money, as much, because I think that we make massive sacrifices in order to satiate their needs. And that costs us dearly, and it's costing Gaia dearly, We're harming our mother, we're harming our father in that action, and so we need to be more resourceful. My mission on this channel is to share some of the things that I do that give me the ability to sustain myself with a very, very low amount of income and out here in the middle of nowhere completely on my own, because I know how to get the job done. I know how to use resources that other people wouldn't really see as being, well, they just go buy new stuff, because it's a little bit harder to reuse stuff. You got to take it apart, you got to salvage it, you got to make sure it's still good. You got to know what you're doing. It's not going to be exactly what you need, and so you got to kind of modify your plan. You got to really be able to be liquid. You got to have a lot of movement. You got to be you gotta be thinking ahead, in order to do it that way. And so it's actually an honorable thing, if you ask me, to do what I'm trying to do here, But that'd be if you ask me. So best way to get confirmation on that is share it with you guys and see what you all say. So, hey, that's what we're doing here today, folks. Anyways, here's a little view from over here. That's my garden, what's left of it. There on the house, and I got that little quick greenhouse I threw up. I did a video on that. It was a quickie just to get the job done. As soon as I get this fence up, I'm going to build me a more permanent greenhouse down here on the bottom where it's flat. But you can see how chomped. Look at it, just nibbled my sunflowers all the way up to the very top, and they've eaten all my cucumbers out of there, nibbled most of the plants down, just annihilating those mouse melons and some tomatoes and stuff in there. They're wiping them out, It's over the whole yard. Like I had this all over here. That was all planted with beans all the way down this little draw. And they didn't eat the corn. You can see a little bit of green corn over there and everything. But man, they just ate everything. It's been pretty brutal, And so I've shared on my, when I sit down at the table and I do my divination, I've shared, my experience with spiritual attack. And yeah, it's spiritual attack, and it is. And I had to go about things the way I went about things. Knowing I wasn't going to get a harvest this year, I had to accept that a long time ago, but I just did it because most guys said, yeah, you do it, don't miss your opportunity. It's not about making money is what Spirit told me. Spirit says, if you do it, you do the work, well, we're going to keep you in the game, and so they did. They softened the hearts that needed to be softened because they got me on my path, it's my temple path. And so they're going to make sure that comes into fruition for me and for everybody else that's involved in this, which is you and everybody else, that has an interest in trying to save the things that are righteous on this planet that God has given us. And so we'll take a little walk here, maybe just walk the perimeter, and I'll just show you what I've done here and what we're doing, where we're at, and where we'll be going here throughout the week, because I'm going to do some more videos on this. And I can't promise you that you're going to learn how to build a fence proper, but I can show you how I build a fence. Maybe you'll learn something, huh? So, the most important tool to build a fence is going to be your string line, and it's not there to hang laundry. It's there to tell you where to go. Simple tool. It's how they built the pyramids, but you can get everything done with the string line. That keeps you posting everything where you need them. So you want a string line. You're going to want a level. A bucket's handy. Shovel. If you want a digging bar, you're going to want a wheelbarrow. About all you need. If you got a tape measure, that helps too, but not necessary. And so with my posts, all of these posts were, because this was at one time a marijuana farm. And so these posts all came out of the greenhouses that were dismantled when the county told them to remove the greenhouses because they got busted. And so it's just been laying around in piles out here, kind of going to waste, you know. So I rounded all of those up. Same with my metal T-posts. That's also where they come from. Is from these is from these. It was a pop farm. You know, I had to clean up the whole mess because they got abated. I bought it cheap. So they got busted. They had to sell it, you know, because the county was on their ass. And then I ended up with it cheap, but it came with all of the refuse, you know, and this was part of the refuse. But that's not refuse at all. A lot of people go buy new posts, you know, not me, not out here. And so another thing that I do to be resourceful, you know, is I like to fill the holes with, you know, like when I put my post in here, I'll go ahead and I'll pin it in the hole. See, I got rocks in my hole. And so I could pin this post where it's in a level position, and then I could put a scoop of cement in there or two, and I can work that down into those rocks, and then I throw more rocks in my hole and another little scoop of cement in there, kind of like a lasagna, you know, and I build my way up and then fill my hole. And that way it's filled up with the majority of rocks. It's not just cement, you know, because out here, like I've mentioned before on my channel, you know, it's a drive to go anywhere to get any kind of material, you know, for building and stuff. And so if you could go ahead and supplement in spots like that's a big one for building off grid. A lot of people just overlook it. They don't think about it, you know, but you could put, even on a cement, like a foundation that you want finished on the outside, you could still put rocks in the middle of that and have a smooth finish on the outside if you're clever about it, if you know what you're doing, if you go about it right. And you can save yourself a fortune on cement. And then not to mention, cement's hard to mix, and there's no ready mix available out here. You can't get a truck to bring that cement out here. That's generally a problem that you're going to have doing off-grid projects. You're going to be hand mixing, and so you want to be smart. If you've got a lot of rocks, and if you're digging big rocks out of your hole, well, put those rocks back in your hole. You just got to cement them together like it was a cement wall, you know, and that's the way you do it. And so, again, with your post, you know, anytime you're building a fence, the deeper you get the post, the better. The digging's hard. This is real rocky out here, and so I didn't get these as deep as I would have liked to, but these aren't going to be nearly this long either. I'm going to cut these down, and then these are going to be braces, you know. And so the way you brace a fence is you take and you put the posts together close, like I have these two, and then I'm going to come down. So once I cut these, they're going to be about at the height of my head. They're going to be a little more than 6 feet tall. And then I'll put another, that piece that I cut off will go between the two. I'll fasten it with pegs from the backside, and then I'm going to stretch a piece of wire diagonally across them, and I put a stick in it, and then you twist it, and then you nail it to that board that was nailed across. And so I'm going to show how that's done. I'm going to make a video and show y'all how I do that. But that's the way you brace a fence, and it's best to have, you know, the more bracing that you put in on a fence like this, the longer it's going to live. I mean, it's just that simple, you know. And so the spots that you want to put those, as you can see, like I put that one right there, because there's a quick change of the pitch in the hill. So it's a little not as steep, but then it gets steeper right there. That's where you want to put your bracing. And then you want to double brace all your corners, just like the same here, you know. And so you do the same thing, coming this way on this top here, and coming that way on that one. You put a wire down, and you pull it tight so that when you pull this way on the whole post, the pressure that is on the base of this corner post right here, both ways. And so that's how you do that, you know. So far, like with this fence, this could be a large fence, you know, and I only have $150 into it, which is really pretty good. And I don't really think I'm going to have to spend much more than that. That's one of the other benefits of being able to salvage well, living off grid, you know. Yeah, every penny counts. This is some sorghum. I dry farm this sorghum. The deer don't want nothing to do with it. This is broom straw. I want to harvest the broom straw off them, and I really want to make brooms to sell at my farm stand. I'm very, very excited about that. But this whole hill right here was all beans, you know. You see, I still have some corn here that I threw in. I was just experimenting with the dry farming, and it did well. I need to put it in sooner, and I guess I kind of lost a lot of my motivation out because deer ate everything. I mean, what am I supposed to do? You know, like it's one of them. I had to kind of throw in the towel here and get everything organized. You know, now I got the bulk of it in. I know what I'm doing, and so once this fence is up, I can really go ahead and focus on other things that I need to do out here, because I need to really secure get the water. I didn't get any water stored last winter, and I can't make that happen. I mean, next year I got to have water stored, you know, and so I don't have water even right now to kind of do what I want to do. I mean, I could do a little bit, but the deer are just wiping me out. There's no point even doing a little bit because the deer are just like, bam, as soon as it grows, they come in and they eat it, And so, it's like I put the garden on hold. It's got to be on hold until I get the fence. But I have this thing done here in probably about 2 weeks. And then I can start figuring out water and hopefully get some crops in that I could have for the stand here in October, November. Put a gate here. Make me a big sign. I'm going to make me a big sign for these two, between these two posts right here, that says Spiritual Ranch. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'll just put a header, they call it, put a header that goes across the two, and then I'll just make like a sign that I can hang off the header. It's barbed wire or something, I'll take this barbed wire and make the letters with the barbed wire, and then fasten them on a board or like weld them or something. I don't know, it'd be pretty cool, And so now I got the wooden post in because I have 3 more posts on that other side where we just started. And I'm going to have those all finished by tomorrow. And then I got to go, and then every 12 feet, I'm going to put a metal post in between those wood ones. And then once I get all those metal posts set, then this fence is ready to go. Then I'm ready to go. Start pulling wire. Do my framing, and I'll start pulling wire. But like these tomatoes, I mean, they just can't even, they just won't leave them alone, You see, as soon as they grow, they would be beautiful right now. They would be hip high on me, but they just won't leave them alone, And so I'm just hoping for the best, that even maybe it's getting kind of late this year, so we'll see. But we have pretty mild seasons, and they're trying to make tomatoes. It's just like, get this wire on here. The San Marzano, those things are yummy. But you can see they grew great, they grew beautifully, and they come in, they chomp on them, and it's just sad as hell. It's just driving me crazy. But I'm gonna get this fence built, That's why this fence just gotta be built. It's like, because they're just eating everything. It's just brutal, I was really hoping this would have been really, it would have been really good this year for me. But that's what it is. And they've been over here eating these, They didn't eat these all spring, but now everything else is getting eaten up. They're eating it, So it's brutal. They don't eat sweet corn though. Go figure. They'll eat the ears. Guarantee that. But I'm gonna come all the way up here to the house. And then here's, I'm gonna use the wire. See, I salvaged wire. And so I had to take apart a bunch of old fences and stuff out here. Once again, part of the greenhouse. The old greenhouses and just old fences that were no longer in use, that just been collapsed, had trees on them and stuff, And so I salvaged all the wire out of those, out of the forest, And then I'm going to, I had a bunch of old barbed wire too that I've been holding on to. It just, this one was out in the forest. And then these, I've been hanging on to these for a while. I salvaged some more, And so basically for the whole $150, I get the whole fence built. And that's pretty cool. That's how we manifest, right? It's probably a little easier to buy materials and just build it with brand new material. But at the same time, I think that, I would rather manifest differently. I think it's pretty cool. See, because like over here, these looked even more pitiful than the ones over there I just showed you. And look how good they are now. They're growing really good. They got chomped hard here about 3-4 weeks ago, but these are really coming back, really coming back. And so I think that these, they're starting to bloom, so they're going to set some fruit. I think I will have plenty of time for these to make fruit. That's just no irrigation either. Those things are real. I'm really impressed by this, and so I'm excited for next season. And that's just what I gotta do. I gotta be excited about next season, and grateful just to survive this season. Hey, if I can make it through here till next May, by next June, things are gonna be peachy keen, and that's the truth, because I'll have the fence up and I'll have everything start coming in, and it'll be a whole different ball game. Nothing but celebrations, and so that's what we're working on out here, folks, on the old Spiritual Ranch. I really appreciate all the likes, the comments, the subscribes. I really appreciate the feedback that I've gotten. The conversations that we've had are amazing. There's individuals that I'm really grateful that share the space with, because they've really, they have You know, beautiful people, man. Beautiful, beautiful presence. You know, beautiful intent. You know, and that's the most important thing that we can offer everybody. You know, anybody. And so keep it real out here on Spiritual Ranch. So I guess I'll do some framing here, and I'll make another video about the fence with the do I frame up one of them H braces or whatever, and then I'll do some other videos on stretching that wire, getting it all on there, and show you really how good it could look, even though it's just a pile of nothing right now, you know. That's kind of how it was when God found me, you know. God found me all rusted out and no good, you know. And they said, nah, we can put a new finish on this one, and we can make this one into a chosen one, you know. And so that's what I'm trying to do out here, folks. And so if you relate with that, that's what you're trying to do too. And so we could do that together. Makes us all more powerful, you know. And so that's true love. That's one love. That's God love. And you know, that's why us star seeds right now are being activated. You know, that's why this world really needs us. You know, they need our message of hope. You know, they need our message of being able to resurrect. You know, and to keep that faith in God, and to know that you're always going to have what you need. You know, God's going to answer every one of your prayers, especially when you're really, really willing to see where that prayer is being answered, you know, because that's what it requires. I think a lot of people maybe sat on their duff and they pray, and maybe they might be delusional because of what the world tells them they should have, and that misses them out on seeing what it is that God wants them to have, because God oftentimes gives us what we need in order for us to learn the lessons that we need to learn to bring us into a higher awareness and a more higher self, so that we can experience that consciousness with them, you know. And that's what it's about, folks. And so I can tell just by the feedback that I've gotten here from everybody on the channel that I'm working with a high energy collective, and that's cool. And that's something that I want to keep building on. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Peace out.